So the New York Mets right now over the last 9 games are 7-2. They just had a 7-game winning streak, and a lot of it fans are attributing to the power of one McDonald's character, Grimace. Let's get right into this here on the Sports Talk Nation. So, folks, after that London series was complete a couple weeks ago, when the Mets split those 2 games with the Philadelphia Phillies, I came on here and I said that it's going to be very important for the Mets to find a way over the next 9 games that were coming up to go 7-2. Why? Because look what the schedule they had. They had Miami. They had San Diego. They had Texas. 3 teams that have been struggling a lot. Also, at that time, just being a handful of games out of the contention for a wild card. Yet Steve Cohen in London telling people that not only is the food good over there, maybe better than New York, but that his team still has a shot and that he is not going to consider selling anytime soon. So, what did the Mets do? Well, they did exactly what they needed to do. They won 7 games. 7 in a row. Played some of the best baseball we have seen this team play all season long, and this team has become galvanized. They have become united. They are a different team than we had seen earlier in the year when it looked like this was going to be a team that was going to just be a bad baseball team. They would find a way to miss the playoffs and maybe even end up having to sell some key pieces. Well, right now, their narrative at this moment has changed, and it's changed for a number of reasons. One, is it all Grimace? I not only like this Grimace stuff and all the stuff that's come with it on social media, I freaking love it! Why do I freaking love it? Because it has given the fan base something that they can grab a hold of. It has given something that the players can also grab a hold of. I think they should take it and run with it. Now, you want to go out there and say, well, it's over now because the 7-game winning streak came to an end against the Texas Rangers on a Wednesday night, so we move on. No, I don't think you should. I think they should keep this rolling because this has been a lot of fun to watch. It's been fun for the fans. You see them out there actually going out there and buying T-shirts with Grimace's face on it. The fans are posting all kinds of crazy stuff on social media, basically bowing to this big fuzzy creature that ended up throwing a first pitch before the Mets-Marlins game just last week. I say keep rolling with it. Why? Because sometimes in baseball, it's a long season for a reason, as they say. Sometimes the stupidest things and the silliest things can end up being a way to carry a baseball team. Just look at the Philadelphia Phillies just a couple of seasons ago. Remember when they made that incredible run to the World Series against the Houston Astros, really kind of came out of nowhere and made that run in playoffs? Well, one of the things that team grabbed on to a hold of was a song that had nothing to do with baseball at all, and that was the song Dancing on My Own. What the hell does that have to do with baseball? Nothing. But the team was singing, the players kept singing that song in the clubhouse. Eventually, the fans caught on to it. It became a social media frenzy. You had that song blaring over the loudspeakers at Citizens Bank Park. You had it blaring all over the place in bars all over Philadelphia. Why not run with such a crazy thing? Why not? I mean, I think the players should grab onto this. Go out there and, get the customized Grimace cleats. Have the Grimace headbands. Why don't you, underneath their batting helmets. Go nuts with this. Have fun with it.
He definitely correlates with us, going on this run. And, if that's what you want to attribute it to, then I'm all for it.
Now, is it, of course, the reason why the Mets have gone 7-2 in their last 9 games and 13-5, as a matter of fact, over their last 18? No. This team has found a way to figure things out in this clubhouse. And it kind of really started after that Jorge Lopez incident where he threw his glove into the stands. May or may not have been misquoted in describing himself or the team's play. But at that same time, there was a team meeting, and that was orchestrated by Francisco Lindor, where everyone kind of aired things out. This team was playing bad baseball. They were 11 games under 500. They were 22-33, and since that time, 13-5. And what can we attribute to that? Well, here, not only has someone like a Francisco Lindor stepped up as the clubhouse leader of this team, but this entire team is starting to play a lot better, especially offensively. The entire first half of this year, for the most part, we have admonished how poorly the Mets have hit the baseball. Well, that's changed over the last few weeks, especially over the last 7 days. Just look at the last seven games, okay? Pete Alonso, 10 RBIs, hitting .310. Brandon Nimmo hitting .429, 10 RBI with 8 RBIs and 10 runs scored. He's getting on base now. You have also, don't forget, J.D. Martinez. J.D. Martinez, who in my last video I said, this is a great baseball player Met fans wanted to see come here and have a lot of success that they thought could lengthen this lineup. But outside of a couple of name drops here and there, wasn't doing anything. Well, he's been doing a lot lately. I mean, he's had 3 home runs, 8 RBIs. He's hit .391 in the last 7 games. Had a game-winning walk-off home run against the Miami Marlins just last week. He has been huge in this lineup. Also, remember, had that big base hit that helped beat the Phillies in London a couple weeks ago. So he has been hitting the baseball very well. You also have no surprise for the success for the Mets, the fact that Francisco Alvarez is back in this lineup. That cannot be understated at all. Alvarez, 8 hits and 20 at-bats in the last 7 games, 4 RBIs. He's hitting an even .400. Not only that, but you have him behind the plate calling games. The Mets have figured out their catching situation. You also have Luis Torrens, who has done a nice job as the backup catcher, both offensively and defensively. This team right now, together, is playing good baseball. You see it in the clubhouse. You see it in the dugout, rather, where these guys are smiling, high-fiving each other, slapping each other on the back. This team is feeling good right now, and they're going to try to keep that riding right now. And also, the big part of this is the pitching hasn't hurt the Mets yet. It's probably the weakest part of this team, as we all know, is the starting pitching of this baseball team. But for the most part, and especially during this stretch where the Mets have played good baseball, they haven't exactly killed the Mets at any point. They have done a nice job. Yes, Luis Severino has a 5.11 ERA in his last couple of starts. He has struggled. But Sean Manaea has done okay. 3.38 ERA in the last 2 starts. Mets got a win out of David Patterson just the other day. Jose Quintana, also the Mets got a win out of him. He did a nice job in his last start. Tyler McGill did a fine job in his last start. And then you have the bullpen, which has been bend not break over the last several days. So the Mets, as a team, playing sound baseball. So where does that leave this team right now? Only a game back in the wild card. I'm going to stress this as I did in my last video. Forget the NL East. Just forget it. I know the Mets are, 13 and a half games out of first place in the NL East, chasing Philadelphia, who's in first. Forget it right now. The focus that the Mets need to have and Met fans need to have, and they have been having, as we know, is that wild card race. And all this stuff about the Grimace and this momentum of the 7-game winning streak, everyone posting and linking to that wild card race right now. The Mets only a game back. They already leapfrogged Cincinnati. They have San Francisco, Chicago tied with them by percentage points. They have to climb over Pittsburgh and Washington. Yes, even San Diego, who they did sweep last weekend, which is going to be huge. And then they have St. Louis and Arizona in that mix as well. A lot of teams all bunched together within a game of each other. It's going to get crazy. The National League, very mediocre, but the Mets have so much in front of them right now. They have the Chicago Cubs. One of those teams in front of them is the Chicago Cubs, and what's going to be a very tough weekend series. Okay? It will not be easy in Chicago. They play them this weekend. Then they get the Yankees coming into Citi Field for 2 games next Monday and Tuesday. And I know the Yankees have hit a bit of a stumbling block of late. They've struggled here against the Baltimore Orioles the last couple of days. But they're still the best team in baseball right now, and they're coming into Citi Field. Can the Mets find a way to get at least one game against the Yankees? That would be huge. And then after that, they have the Houston Astros coming into town. The Astros have been incredibly mediocre this year, and they have certainly hit a wall. They're not the same team they used to be. So that's probably, as we look at the upcoming schedule, where it's going to be tough right now for the next 7 to 8 days, 7 to 9 days, with the Cubs, the Yankees, and the Astros. Just based on pedigree alone of those three teams, this will be a tough stretch, and it'll be an interesting stretch because after that, after the Astros leave town on June 30th and we get into July and we start looking towards the 4th of July and you start looking towards the All-Star break, the Mets have teams that are either right there with them or teams that they can try to beat up on with Washington, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and the Colorado Rockies. It could happen. Look, they're still under 500, 3 games under 500, but this team still has a really good chance to make this happen. Like I said, it's a long season, but this team's in it. They got a chance. We don't have to talk about selling pieces like Pete Alonso and Jeff McNeil right now. If this team continues to take care of business, continues to win series, then they have a chance to make some noise here as we get in towards the second half of this season, and maybe they can go out there and add players. My God, did we ever think about this team adding pieces? Just a couple weeks ago, we were talking about selling pieces. And if they do find themselves in a position, David Stearns and company in position to add, and of course, that would be starting pitching numero uno need for the Mets if they should continue to be on this roll. Let the Grimace keep rolling on for the New York Mets. Leave your thoughts below, folks. How do you feel about this team right now? Like and subscribe. We'll talk to you next time.